Hello, and we're going through the entire process of installing Arch Linux manually from A to Z, everything you need, everything you should know, and everything you could do to make it a bit better on yourself. So let's get right into it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also leave a like and also comment on what is your favorite desktop environment. So first, we are on Linux. So the first thing we need is a bootable USB. And again, if you need to skip this, do not skip this. So now, the first thing is some prerequisites that are needed before we get into this installation. The first thing is obviously a PC. You need a PC that you will be working on for dual booting, bare metal, whichever one you want, and for VM as well. So you need a PC. Then we need a pen drive. A pen drive approximately or above 4 gigabytes. Anything above works, so make sure to have that. Then we need the Arch ISO. So you can get it really easily. I showed it in previous videos and a lot of times, so it's really easy to do. I don't think I need to teach it again, but just get the ISO. So you need it for everything. Just get the ISO. Then you need to relax. Go to meditation. Do everything you need to do. Just relax. Don't do this on a whim. And the most important thing you need is time, a working brain, and the will to live. Because this can get really frustrating if you miss something. Now let's start from the top. Making a bootable USB. The first one is on Linux. If you are already using a Linux distribution, this is probably the easiest way you can make a bootable USB without going through too much hassle. And since it's for Arch, it's much easier. We'll just go with opening up your terminal. Then let me just make this a bit bigger so it's easier to see. Then the first thing we'll do is identify our pen drive. So if I do lsblk, as you can see, the SDD that is shown here is my pen drive because it says Arch install. I know that I named it Arch install. So this is our pen drive. Now what do we do with this? Thing that we will do with this is format it. The first thing we'll do is format it to reset everything. So we can do sudo. Okay, I have the command written. So it is SDD, remember that. Then we can do sudo. There we go. So what this is doing is making a VFAT drive. We're ignoring any safety checks because sometimes it just does weird things. So it will cause issues when it's mounted, and we don't want any of that. We just want to format it. We are choosing the file type or the FAT type to be F32, which is FAT32, and then the -n is the label. So this is the label for our drive, the label meaning the name for our drive. Then if I just hit enter, ask for our password. Okay, as you can see, it is causing issue for a mounted file system. So I'll just rename it. Okay, now when this happens, I just like to do umount -dev std. There you go, it is now unmounted. So in case that is causing issue for you, do this. Now as you can see, it's now working fine. Now there is another issue that may occur. You may not have this thing. So this mkfs vfat, if you don't have it, quick way to get it is in this one. So DOS-fs tools. This is for Arch Linux. If you're on Ubuntu or Fedora, the command will change accordingly. Just the package manager will change. The package should be the same. Now with that out of the way, now we just have to make our pen drive bootable, or just put the ISO, basically put the ISO in our pen drive. For that, we can do sudo dd. There we go. This is the command that we need. So if is basically input from, of is output from. I don't know what they necessarily mean exactly, but this command should work. Then we do enter and just wait for it to be done. So as you can see, it is getting copied. So let's just wait while it is getting things done. Here's the whole command in one line. So while we're waiting, let me explain what is happening here. And it's done. But if will basically, you have to explain, or you have to specify where your ISO is. So the exact directory of your ISO, you need to put it in if, and of is basically where it's not OnlyFans. of is basically where your pen drive is, or which drive is your pen drive. So you just have to specify this here. Then you can do bs. It's not what you think it is. It's just boot size or boot sector size. Then we have status. This basically shows how far along are we, and the sync just syncs the drive, and that should be it. There we go. We should have a bootable USB. Now if we check, go here, I'll go to here. As you can see, all the necessary files are here. And if you remember, we did format it, so, and also the label changed, so that means it worked. Now this is for Linux enthusiasts, people who really are into Linux. And so if you're scared of it and if you don't want to go this route, then there is another easier way to do it, which is just your browser of your choice, just search for Balena Etcher and then get in the website. The first thing that pops up, download Etcher, and then just download it for Linux. This file right here, and then just hit download, and it should download. But I do recommend you at least try to do it in the first method. But since it's command heavy, if you mistype something or if you miss something, yeah, it won't be too great. Now that is downloaded, we can extract it. I'll just use this. There you go. It is extracted. I'll get into here, and this is the software. So can I just double click it and it will work? Double clicking it does work. In case it doesn't, double clicking it doesn't work for you, you just go here. You can see it says executable, which means this is an executable file. So in case double clicking doesn't work for you, what we can do is just do cd. Let's just move into the directory. So cd downloads /Balena Etcher, and then let me just close this. We don't need this, and then we can do, we can move into here, and then if I do ls, we can run Balena Etcher. We can literally do this Balena Etcher, and there you go. That also runs it. So you can do it from the terminal. It's fine. So now what do? We can now flash from file. Just select this. It will open up where we want to flash it from. We want to go to download and then select the ISO, so open, and then we have to select the target, which will be obviously our pen drive, which is right here, and then select, and then when this is done, hit flash. So we need to give our password, authenticate, and this will start flashing. Now this is a way easier and kind of better way to do it, because you are using a utility that is supported in both Windows and Linux, and I'll show you how to get it on Windows as well. It's really easy, and there you go. It is flashed in. Now I hope I don't have to show you how to boot into your USB. These are the boot keys for different types of motherboard and laptop versions as well. That's which one is yours, and then just boot into the USB. After booting in, here's something that you should see. I'll just switch over to Windows so I can show you what's happening. Hello, we're back. Now the reason I'm on Windows is to show you how to get Balena Etcher on this. It's really simple. First, we get into a browser, search for Balena, go into the website, same thing, download Etcher, just Etcher for Windows, download it, that's it. It's a exe file. I do have it downloaded apparently, so let's just get there. Is it? Oh yeah, there we go. So here's the setup. Actually, just click on this, it will install it, and let's go. So we don't have to worry about it too much. As you can see, it's done. Now we have this, and the process is the same. Now let's get into the juicy part, actually installing Arc. So I'm doing this in a Hyper-V system, mostly because this simulates like an actual system really well. And I know what you're saying, Chemo is better or whatever, but this is just easier to do. And I'm just lie to you and be like, yeah, just do this on a hard drive and whatever. No, I'm doing this in a virtual machine, but the process is exactly the same as on a hardware machine, and I will explain every step of the way, so do not worry, just follow along and just don't let go of my hand because you will get lost. So let me just start this. See, you will see this menu, exact menu, enter at this point to get boot into the interface basically. So I'll just unpin this so it doesn't look too bad. There we go. So again, you'll see the exact same thing. So this will be the exact thing that shows up. So just wait for it to boot, and now we have it booted. It is really hard to see with this text like font size. We can actually change it with set font, and I'll just go with -124. So that's basically 124 and bold. There you go. Now this is a bit nicer. Bolder is a bit clearer. So we're here. We're in the dark emptiness of Arc. Now what do we do? So the first thing we have to do, so before doing anything, what I recommend you do is get to this page right here. So I'll just put it in here, go there. Now in here, it's actually really nice. You can see it also has this set font command. We also need this localctl, so this key map. So I'll go through every single step. Don't worry. Just remember I have this handy on me, so I can actually explain what everything is going on. So now let me just put this on my second monitor so I can actually see it. And then first is the localctl key map. This will basically help you if you have a different key map than the usual US key. So if you do have the US key maps, it's fine. You can literally skip this part. As you can see, there is a lot of, and we can actually just hit the arrow key and see everything that is available. So you can see there's French, there's Italian, there's literally a lot of things. To exit out of this, you can literally do Ctrl+C, which will just exit out of it. Now we can, it says here to verify boot mode, which means that is our system a UEFI system. So we'll do sys, we'll do firmware /EFI i/fw platform size. So if I hit enter, 64. So first of all, if you have this directory, that means you're running a UEFI system and it's a 64-bit system. If it's 32, that means it's running a UEFI system but a 32-bit system. And if there is no file like this, that means you're running on MBR mode. Basically, you're not running a UEFI system, you're just running a basic system. Now, the internet. So what we can do is literally just do ping arclinux.org. So this will, if you get an output, that means so as you can see, there are outputs, that means you have internet connection and everything is working accordingly. Now, if you are on a laptop which does not have Ethernet connection, or you are not connected to Ethernet, you need to actually configure that. So to connect to Wi-Fi, so what we can do is iwctl, which will give us this right here, and then we can do station list, which will basically give you something called WLAN 0. So if you have a Wi-Fi device here, which I don't, so you'll get a WLAN 0. I'll put a picture that shows you how it looks like. Then when you do so, see that, what you have to do is do station get WLAN. So what you have to do is just type in station, like it happens on the keyboard, station, and then WLAN 0, and then scan. So this will basically just scan everything that you have, and then what you have to do is WLAN 0 get network. So what this will do is show every network that you have. So again, I don't have it, but these are the commands that you need. So depending on what output you get in this part right here, now to connect to it, it's as easy as just typing in station WLAN 0 and then connect, then just pull up quotation and then typing your Wi-Fi name. So your Wi-Fi name. So just put your Wi-Fi name here. So whatever output you get from the get networks, you can actually put it here. And what this will do is ask you for password. It doesn't have, like, if you don't have a password. So if you have a password protected Wi-Fi, which I think you do, then just give it the password and it should be connected. After that, just exit and then check the ping once again where it goes. So after you do that, when you get this type of output, that means you're connected to the internet. Now we can move on to the next step. Now there is one step which is time date CTL. What this does is actually configure our local time. So if it's not correct, then we have to correct it. So make sure this is correct. And even if it isn't, we will fix it. Don't worry about it too much. Now we can actually partition our drive. Now in the wiki, it says to use fdisk, but for much easier time, we can actually use cfdisk, which is kind of like a GUI interface. So if I do cfdisk, and then first if we do fdisk -l, it will give us like all the drive that we have available to us. So just identify which drive you're using. If you have just a single drive, we don't have to worry about it too much, and you don't have to worry about the loop section either. This is what we're interested in, the dev-sdx. So whichever SD you have, that is the thing that we are interested in. Now, once we establish that, we can actually clear it. Then we can do cfdisk /dev/dev/sda, hit enter. And if you don't have any type of partition, this will ask which type of label we want. We want obviously GPT, since we are using a UEFI system, and then hit enter. Now as you can see, we have free space. So what do we do with this free space? So now we structure it. First thing I want to make is the EFI system partition. For that, we'll go with new. I'll go with 1 gigabyte. I don't think we need it, but it's a good to have. We don't need that much, but sure, it's a good size. Then we can do enter. As you can see, it created 1 gigabyte Linux file system. And once it is created that, we can actually go to type and actually change it to EFI system. There we go. Enter. And now this is a EFI system. Then we go to the free space again. We create new. And this one will be, I'll give it about 4 gigabytes. So this is the swap partition. So this will be used when your RAM is filled, or maybe something that needs to be offloaded from the RAM. This is what will be used. So make sure to keep this, like, some people like to give it half of the total RAM. Some people like to do double the total RAM. So your mileage may vary on however you like to do it. So if you have less storage, just keep it half of the total RAM and it should be good. There we go. Now it's a Linux file system. So we can go to the type again, and there should be an option that says Linux swap in here somewhere. Let us see. Oh, there we go. There it says Linux swap. Hit enter. And now the rest of it, we can just do enter. And yeah, it will be Linux file system. That is absolutely. And I don't think there is separate partition for this. So yeah, we won't worry about it too much. There we go. Now with that out of the way, now we can just hit write, and then yes, we want to write the changes to our disk. Now again, make sure everything is correct. You have this partition exactly like this, and also make sure you have the correct drives selected, because once you do yes, everything is gone. Now after that is done, it says our partition table has been altered. Now we can do quit, so get out of it. And now if we do fdisk-l again, as you can see, there are devices now. So here are devices, but there's a bit more that we need to do. And that is, this is Linux file system, but I would like to format it again just in case we miss some. So as you can see, SDA1 is our EFI system, SDA2 is our Linux swap, and SDA3 is our Linux file system. So that part is, now for the SDA3, what I like to do is just do sudo mkfs. Oh, sorry, we don't need sudo. I'm so used to typing it. Mkfs dot ext4, and then just do /dev /sta3. This will basically just format it again. You can see. And now if we just check this, you can see it relatively didn't change anything, but I do like to do it just for a sanity check. Now with that partitioning done, now we have to mount everything. So how do we do that? So first, let's mount the root partition, as it's the simplest. We can do mount /dev /root. So first let's go from the bottom. So let's do /dev /sta3. So this is our root partition, and this will be mounted to /mnt. Or enter, and there you go. It is mounted. Now the command changes a bit. So let's do mount first. Finish the mount. So we can do mount again. Now we are mounting the EFI system. So EFI partition. For that, we'll go with /dev /sta1. Remember, 1 is our EFI partition, and we need to modify this a little bit, and that is --mkdir, because the place we are mounting it, which is /mnt/boot, doesn't yet exist. But now when we press this, it will be spawned into existence and then mounted on. So now we're getting a bit of an error. So what do we do now? So we just fs.fat/f32 and then /dev sta1. Let's see if this fixes it. Now if you mount it again, as you can see, now it works. So that is the whole reason why I like to reformat it after I do cfdisk. And since we are on to partitioning, we can actually do mk swap for the swap partition, which is /dev /sta. Hit enter, and there you go. It is set as swap. So now we can do swap on and then /dev /sta2. So this will basically allow our SDA2 partition to be at the swap partition. Enter. It should be done. I got it out. Now the actual installation starts, which is again really simple. We can do backstrap -k /mnt. So we are installing everything on the mount. So which is now our current root folder for our system. So all you need to do is do base Linux and Linux firmware. Now at this point, we can actually install multiple softwares. So other software that we may need. So we can install Nano for editing text. We can also use NVim. I do like to use NVim, so I'll just do that. NVim, and then for now I can't actually remember anything. So give me a moment. NVim, and then we also want sudo. This is everything we need. So now we just hit enter, and now it is actually. Now this time it will install everything that we specified, all the packages that it needs to actually install our system. We just have to wait for it to finish, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, now that's done. So what do we do now? Now we have to create the fstep. And now the fstep file is basically what our partition will look like. So let me just show you. It will be much easier to explain. So if I just do, gen fstep -u-mnt. If I just do this, you'll see we get an output like this. And in here, you can see the first one SDA is mounted to root, and then we have the boot partition, and then the last one says at the end it is the swap. So this is basically what we need in our fstep file. So how do we do that? We do the same command, just do 2 greater than signs, so very greater than, just do that, and then just type in mnt. Why the hell does it do this to me? mnt/c/fstep. So this is basically what you need to type. This is what you need. So if I do enter, that's done. And how do we check it's done? we just do cat on this file. And once you do that, as you can see, everything is in here nice and nicely configured. So now what do we do? Now we check if our system is actually installed. We can do arch-chroot, chroot, I would like to say it, /mnt. So what this will do is actually just boot into or just log into our system that is in mnt. If I just do this, and there you go. Now we are in our actual system which we just installed. Now we can do pacman-syu, which will update everything, and as you can see, it's working fine. So what do we do now? After we are here, we have to configure a few things. So first, our time zone. So what we have to do is just do ln-sf, then /user/share/zone-info/your region, so /where the city is. So there you go. That's about it. And then we can do /ec/local/gen, also local time/local time, and hit enter. This will create our clock. So if we do hw clock-sys.hc, this should sync the clock. So now if I do time zone TL, I think that was what I mistyped. Oh yeah, it's not. Anyway, that's done. Now here's a few things that we have to do. Let me just do nvim, or we can use nano. Again, whatever you prefer. Nano is probably easier. So I'll just show you with that. Pacman-s nano. So this is to check if our installation is working. So now we have nano. We can do nano /c/local.gen. We hit enter. See, it's a huge file, and in here we just have to uncomment, and so we just have to go to the bottom. I think we went too far, so we have to Ctrl F and _us. There you go. This is the line that we are actually looking for. So just uncomment this. So just remove the hashtag, and you can find it with Ctrl F. We don't know where it is. So with that, that's easy. Now we can do Ctrl S, Ctrl X, which will get us out of this file right here. Now we can do local-gen, hit enter, and it just generated the local file. Now that's nice. Now we have to configure a few more things. We can do echo lang. So what language are we using? -n_us.udf-8. So this is what we need, and put it in /etc/local-gen local.conf. This is where we want to put it. There we go. Now we probably want to do a host name, which will be echo archbox. We can probably do just echo arch. No, we want to name it. So now with the language setup, we need to do the host name, and it's really easy to do. We can do echo. Let's just do arch Linux, and then we'll put this in /et/hostname and hit enter. There we go. That done. Now there is a bit of a host configuration, so we can do cat and then slash, and just check if it works. So dash host and then do this COF. So we can actually put stuff in here. So we can do 127.0.0.1 places. We can do local host, then we can do local host, and then we can do 127.0.1.1. This will be our local domain, which will be linux.local domain, and then we can do EOF. There you go. Now we should be able to just check if this is correct. Well, it isn't correct because we needed to do host. That's not right. Yeah. Well, we need to rename the file. So what we can do is just do mv on that. We can do mv/c/host, and then we can just rename it to /c/host. Now this. So after that, now we need an user. Yes, we need a user. So first, let us set up the root password. We will set up the root password. This is our root. So set up the password you need, and don't worry if it doesn't show up. It's actually being typed. It just doesn't show up for security reasons. Now our root password is updated. Now we just have to add our user as/g, which is a group wheel, and let's just do these are the two groups we want, and then pass d our name, and then we just set up our password for that new user, and there you go. So now we have to do editor that equals to nano. So if we want to use nano, we can do nvim, or whichever one we prefer to use. So vi sudo. If I just enter here, now we have to find a group called wheel, and it should be easy if we do the wheel search for it, and yeah, there we go. You can see it's really easy to search. So uncomment this line right here, and then we can do Ctrl S, Ctrl X. There you go. Now our user should have easy access to it, and we can actually log into our user. But before we can do anything, we have to install a bootloader. Now, at this point, I want to show you two bootloaders that can be installed. One is the grub and the other is system D. So let me make a quick system backup so I can show you both ways to do it. So what I will do now is just make a checkpoint at this point right here because we are mostly set up and we just need a bootloader. So I'll do this point and there you go. This just set up a checkpoint right here. I should have renamed it. I should rename it. No. This point, pay attention. Like when I say pay attention, really pay attention. Do not lose focus at this point. So first, we install grub. This is the grub installation. So what we have to do is do pacman-s grub and EFI-gr. Now, so these two are for just grub. So if you are doing bare metal install, these are the two you need. You don't need anything else. But if you are using multiple systems, you need something called OS Prober. So OS Prober and NTFS-G. So these are the two things extra if you are dual boot. I will literally just install with everything. It's fine. If I just do that, just install everything. Now we have to actually install grub. To do that, grub dash install dash target equal to dash 86/64 dash EFI and then dash EFI dash directory. This is the whole command. Now we have to edit the grub to do a bit of more configuration. So uncomment this line if you want to use two systems. Since you are not doing that, we can just config. There you go. Now grab these windows and your dual boot will work, and even bare metal if you are going that route. At this point, we can reboot and check us if our system is working. We have to exit now. There you go. Now we have a working system. Now I'll show you how to do it system D. So now with the grub install basically done, we can do system D. How do we do this? We just do revert the system. Now just apply, and then we can actually just do this. This should revert us to the place where we left there. So to install system D, first thing is we need to do is to mount our boot, to mount our EFI partition. So you can do slash dash dev slash st118 or boot slash what the heck. Now we can do boot ctl install that. Now we need to create the loader file, loader configuration. What we can do is just literally just type in nano slash boot slash loader config, enter. So we have this, we just have to place it with Mac, and then we just change the default to arch.conf. This will be our control X. I think I'll change the timeout to a bit more. I can do maybe just that should be X. Now we have to actually create the arch config file, so we can do nano slash boot slash loader entries slash arch.conf. There we go. This arch. There we go. In here, we need to type in, first of all, we need title. So base Linux. Then we need Linux to be slash Mac RD options. I need to get my root partition UID. So give me a moment. I need to first save. So to get the UID, actually find it. We can get the ID just by doing KID -s var ID wrong dash o value dev sc. I think we have to echo this so it actually works. So I have to turn it into a variable. I forgot. So we get the output of. I think I can do that. Just there we go. Can I just wait? I think I can just do this. It also works. So now we have to actually copy this value. How do we do this? Well, there is a way. Remember this part? We can actually save to IT equals to this. And what this will do is save this thing as a variable. And now we can actually put it in that file we just created. So you can do cat dof. So it saves it slash root slash loaders slash entries slash config. And we want to just options root equal to var uid equal to $var u and then rw. This should be it. And then let's do UF. Let's see if that actually works. Okay, we have that, but we missed all other options. That's not. We can put now title Linux and then Linux fs-linux.im. Now we just save this. We get out of this. Now that's about it. In case you're dual booting, you can actually just do slash boot slash EFI, and then in here just see if you have anything that says Windows Windows. So if there anything that says Microsoft or boot under this menu right here. So just look for it. Then we can just literally, so here's how you can entry a dual boot for your Windows machine. So that's relatively simple. Remember how we did Arc like this? We can just change it to Windows. Like literally change it to Windows. And after you do change it to Windows, you can actually just type in title. Again, this is after you, if you have it. So you can do Windows and EFI. Just this should be the directory where Windows is usually at. So you can do Microsoft boot I think it's called bootmgw.efi. This is something like this is the file that you are looking for. This should be the setup for a dual booted Windows system. So I won't save it because well I'm not dual booting. Clear, and we can do bootctl list, and there you go. It says Arch Linux default not reported. So if you have again a Windows, it should say an Windows. So Windows option also be here. Now we can actually after systemctl is actually done, we can exit, we can umount, systemd is done, we can umount everything, so unmount everything, or not everything, just mnt/d. There you go. Now we just do reboot, and hopefully this there. Oh, I forgot to plug the USB. Give me a moment. So after you reboot, just make sure to basically just unplug the USB. I'll just turn it off, and then to unplug it, I'll just go to settings. There we go. This not apply. That should be it. Now if I boot it up, it should. Yeah, there we go. It just boots up to Linux. Now at this point, you have a working Arch Linux system which you yourself has just created. So be proud of that. And after this, you can install GNOME, you can install KDE, whichever desktop environment you pro. You can even install Hyperland if you want. I do have videos, like all the videos on my channel. So whichever you prefer, just select that video. And if you found this video helpful, or if you found something that you are confused about, please do let me know down in the comments below. And I'll try to update that in the description, or maybe I'll update it in the video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.